Barbara and her husband Roy started this foundation over 10 years ago. They just celebrated their 10-year anniversary with the climb up Kilimanjaro. And what touched me about this when I heard about what she was doing was her heart in, to be of service. So in the culture of University of Santa Monica, many of you are here from there, there's so much about creating this culture of service. And I know that we are all living that who are on the stage here right now. So one at a time, we're going to kind of go through each of these panelists, their story of what inspired you, Barbara, to start this organization. What was it that touched your heart that made you come into Africa and do all the work that you do? I mean, it's extraordinary, not only the orphanage, but also conservation work and work with women. So tell us a little bit about the story. We're going to take about 5 minutes each to talk about the inspiration, just straight from the heart.
I'm all heart, Gina. Thank you for having me, and happy birthday. We're 1 week apart or a couple days apart, so we're both Scorpios. But I just want to say that I feel so honored to be here and to be able to speak about March to the Top, because it's something that's so close to my heart, and it truly does lead me to love. And I'd like to start with my quote that I live by, that I have written a couple years ago, and I say, "The world is in the hands of those people who have the courage to change the lives of others." And what that means for me is, Roy and I, my husband, we climbed Kilimanjaro 10 years ago, and on the top of the mountain we had an epiphany. And I can relate to Mother Teresa when she says she was on the train, and it was that voice within that voice, and that voice that I heard from the Holy Spirit when I came down that journey and I got to the land of Africa, and just seeing the people and the children that truly touched my heart. And when we went to our first project was the HIV children, it was something just extraordinary to see these children who were marginalized, and people do not accept them, and their own families give them up. And just to see how happy they were, and just to see that true joy. And we have 8 projects, and we do health, education, and conservation. Those are all 3 things that are linked together. And but what I'm here to speak about besides my projects is, that passion that I have to service. And my true joy, see, I define happiness and joy are different. Joy comes from feeling that Holy Spirit and that call. And my true leading myself to love is touching someone else's life. There's nothing in my life materially, physically, anything that I can do. My true joy is just giving to someone else, letting that other person smile, touching them, feeling them. When I see those HIV children, I just kiss them on the lips. I mean, I truly feel complete when I'm in service. And we partner with a foundation in England that does eye missions and open heart surgeries in Africa, and it just amazes me with such little money how far it goes. I mean, we do, for $54,000, we do 27 heart surgeries. For $24,000, we just did 100 cataract surgeries. We get to experience people who see for the first time. I mean, for me, this is what truly leads me to love, truly leads me to that I have found my true passion, having the courage to change people's lives. And I just want to say, sharing this stage with 2 other people, and I'm sure many of you who do service, I just say, thank you. Thank you for being there for others, and continue the great work, because I think there's nothing better than being committed and being God's disciple in life, and sharing His work and sharing His passion, and waking up every day and just saying, thank you, God, for giving me that opportunity to bless someone else's life. And I just want to thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. I think you'll notice a theme here, this leading with love thing that I'm trying to project out into the world. And these are, again, three of my heroes. Our next guest is Muffy DeSabatino, and Muffy and her daughter Megan and Andy. Where's Andy? Started the Shakti Foundation, and we've partnered on many events and done many inspiring things together. And Muffy and Megan and Andy introduced me to the Cambodian Children's Fund, which is a blessing and a curse because now I have 4 or 5 sponsored children, and probably by the time I'm 50, I'll have like 20 or 30. It's hard not to. So it's an amazing organization I'm involved with, and Muffy and Andy have 5 to several children that you just raise up from the ground up. And we'll show the video of the Cambodian Children's Fund for you to get a glimpse of this amazing organization. Again, this isn't a pitch for you guys like, oh, you have to contribute money. It's inspiration. So you find that place inside for those things that do resonate deeply with you. And the ask is only that you do follow that to be of service in some way. And these are 3 amazing examples. Wow, a round of applause for Scott Neeson, who's not here. And he's a truly an amazing person who has inspired Muffy and Andy, I know, and inspired me so much. We did our first Yoga in Action Day with Aspen Yoga Society about 5-6 years ago, and he was here, and he brought 5 kids. I think they were all the kids you sponsor, right? And of course, since that time, I've been involved, and I went to Cambodia, and this little kid just grabbed my hand when we were walking through the trash dump, and basically she just became my kid. You know, you don't have a choice. They look at you, and you know, honestly, at that time, I was deeply yearning to have children, and I have had that desire, and you don't always get what you want in life. Right? And the journey is so much about being present with what is. So when I walked through that dump and that kid grabbed my hand, I said, this is my kid, just like these other kids that I've sponsored are my kids. And that's okay. And so it's such a beautiful thing in the world. There's a supply and a demand, and there's so much love to go around, and we just need to find the places to channel it. And Muffy and Andy and Megan have been involved in this organization for many years, and I'd like to for you to tell everybody how you got inspired and what it is that touches your heart about the Cambodian Children's Fund.
Well, I want to back up a little bit and just thank you, Gina, for your efforts putting this together. And to back up, the Shakti Foundation, Megan and I, with Andy's support, started 12 years ago. And it was to do events like this. Yoga was so powerful, but there weren't huge events helping people really get in touch with what they needed to fulfill their lives to help in the world. And by doing those events, we found the most important element was the giving back. Not the yoga, not the nutrition. We'd have artists, we've had doctors, psychologists, they'd all talk, and that was wonderful. But it was the aspect of giving back, finding some organization, some cause you cared about, and you give back, and so much more comes to you. So one of the organizations that we connected with, and I have to give Sean Korn credit, because we were doing one of our events in Los Angeles, Andy and I were going to Cambodia the next day. And she said, I have a yoga student who started an orphanage over there, and that's all she said. Go visit him. Well, he was at the other end of the country, and there was just something so meaningful about her words, and I would follow Sean anywhere. So we canceled our reservation, and it turned out to be Tet, their New Year. The airports were closed. We showed up at the airport. There was no one, and we had to get to the other end of the country. Some little old man said, go to the end of the runway, and we practically loaded our own bags and went to Phnom Penh, met Scott, and it changed our lives. And that was 11 years ago. And in our travels, we have found that there's so much we can give. You can change lives so dramatically with the blessings we have. And we didn't enjoy just traveling for the sake of traveling. We wanted to do something meaningful. So somehow between the Shakti Foundation, the aspect of giving back, meeting Scott, wanting to do something outside of ourselves, that connection has changed our lives. And you saw the video. Scott is the most remarkable human being anyone could ever meet. He walks on water. He's a saint. He doesn't eat. He doesn't sleep. His whole life is the kids. And when he was an executive, he said, I was the obnoxious traveler in first class. If there was a baby or a crying child, I'd tell the stewardess, get them away from me. And now when you see Scott, as you can verify, Gina, There are kids all over him, and he adores it. He's thriving. He's never been happier in his life. He went to a yoga retreat, Sean's, and said, I'm not happy in my life. I want to do something different. And Sean kind of looked at him and said, everyone who goes to a yoga retreat says that. You'll go back to your job, which was president of 20th Century Fox, and it'll be a nice memory, but you'll forget. And he didn't. He took a sabbatical, went to Cambodia. After the Khmer Rouge decimated the country, so many thousands of children were just living on the street. And he thought he could just hire a couple people, put some money into it, and make a difference. And it didn't turn out that way. The money didn't get where it should go. So he quit, and he moved over there. And he had 65 children when we met him his first year. And we asked him how large he envisioned this, and he said, I'll keep building until I don't know every child's name. I don't know their story. I don't know where they came from. Now he has over 2,000, and he's still growing. Every time we go back, it's a new hospital. It's a new dental service. He totally upgraded the water system because everyone was getting so sick with the vile water they had. The mortality rate for infants was high. He decided he was going to have a prenatal center. They haven't lost a mother or a child since. The man has no college degree. He has no educational, formal curriculum background at all. And what he's put together, you have to go, and Gina can verify because she's been a few times. He's saving a country. His idea is not to be raising the children to then be adopted. He's literally saving a country. He's making leaders. He sends them to Tony Robbins leadership programs. He's bringing arts back. With the Khmer Rouge, they decimated. Anybody who had an education was killed. There were no arts, no music. And if you could see these tiny tots with their incredible dance, songs, art, and they're thriving. And that was not the case even 10 years ago when we first went. To see it change practically monthly. Andy and I are honored to be on his board, so we see how it's grown. And the funds that he's been able to raise, his commitment, our board members are around the world. He has a lot of support. I encourage you to pick up some of the information we have out there. They're bags that the kids made that are out of rice sacks. And they have a bakery, they have a restaurant. Every time we talk to them, there's a new endeavor, and they're all successful, and they're saving these kids. So it's an honor and a blessing. Thank you for having us. Thank you for letting me share the story.
Thank you, Muffy.
And happy birthday.
Thank you. Yeah, you want to get up? We're not done yet. We're not done yet. But you can. Go ahead. Thank you, Muffy. And I just want to say, that ripple effect we were talking about, I think in Sean's class and some of the work we've done this morning of certain people following their dharma, finding that inspiration. And then when they're doing that thing, you can't help but be inspired by what they're doing. And then that ripples these great acts of service much further. And that's what the world needs. So Muffy got me involved. I've got 3, 4, 5 kids that I sponsor. I got my parents sponsoring kids. Becky and Jeff have some kids. By just posting the joy of the relationship that I have with these kids, other people have chosen. Lisa and our friend Kim share a child, cutest little thing. And there's a lot of reward without all the having to find a babysitter or all the drama of having a teenager. And they write you Christmas cards, and it's a beautiful relationship. So there is material from all these 3 outside. So finally, we're going to speak with Lisa Ruoff, one of my dearest friends, who I met at the Off the Mat training in 2010, and we just sort of had a little explosion of love and joy in encountering the soul inside of each of us, I think. Accurate? Yes, accurate? Absolutely. At least it was for me. And Lisa, at that time, she'd been doing tons of humanitarian work all over the world, just a gypsy with a heart of gold. And we got involved when she was starting to create a children's center in Haiti after the earthquakes, the Jacmel Children's Center. And I got my dad involved in that. Was it your 70th or 75th? 75th, this guy, we did a 75K bike ride and raised funds for us, couldn't see them, but it's like there is no rules out there about how much you can love. right? And so we do this inner work on ourselves, on our mat, and through these processes so that we have an overflow of love to be of service to others, right? When we're in a space where we don't have that, it's very hard to give back. So this work that you're doing here at this retreat and in your own lives is so important. And these women obviously exemplify that work and that overflow of love to do the amazing things that they've done in the world. So I just, again, want to thank you all for being here and ask you, Lisa, what struck your heart about Haiti that had you go there and figure out how to raise a whole bunch of money and create that beautiful center for all those children?
First, I also want to thank you for having me on this panel. I'm so grateful to be here and to share the stage with you amazing women. So what struck me was pretty soon after the earthquake in Haiti in 2010, I'm sure you all remember, you could not escape the images that were being shown everywhere in the newspapers, on social media, on television. And I just felt really compelled to go down there. I knew that I had to go, and it wasn't even like I had a choice. I knew I needed to find a way to get down there. And I went down as soon as I could after the earthquake. I didn't have medical background or first aid relief, so I went with a volunteer organization, and that wasn't very organized. And so when I got down there, we were basically free to do our own work. And I got to work with the United Nations one day, the Salvation Army one day, UNICEF one day. And there was a lot of just sitting around and not being able to do much because of some bureaucratic things going on. And it ends up like 3 days into my trip, I discovered this woman named Bonit Afriani, who's a Haitian woman who's like a Mother Teresa of this area. And she was doing the work of all these organizations. She would do in one day what they were doing in about 3 weeks' time. She was feeding 300 kids, feeding senior citizens. She had a microlending program for adults. She was educating kids. Like, you name it, she was doing it. And I was so blown away by the work she was doing, her perseverance, her dedication. Not to mention that the kids in Haiti that I got to meet, they're little love balls. You stand there and they just come running up and just hug on you and love on you, and it's not like they want anything from you. They just want to be held and loved and seen. And so I was just so blown away, not only by Bonit. I ended up meeting and spending time with other local organizations that were not, big time based, but small organizations, local NGOs, and meeting those unbelievable leaders there that were so just dedicated to the kids and just wanted to do anything and everything they could to help. And I was just so touched by everything I experienced while I was there that I realized, wow, I want to keep coming back, and I really want to start bringing my yoga students. I was leading 17 yoga classes at the time in America, I was also at the stage of burnout. And I had a company called Yoga Ventures, and I was leading trips, but I'd never led a humanitarian retreat before. And so as soon as I could, I brought a group back. Brought a group back of 12 people. And they too were just as blown away by the experiences of the kids there, the love. I mean, this whole experience is lead with love, and I feel like that's what I've been compelled to do in Haiti. And when I was there, I ended up on the second trip, Bonit Afriani, kids started arriving on her doorstep, and they literally had nowhere to go. So she pointed out to me, right up the hill, adjacent to the property, where she was already doing so many different things in her community, the Mother Teresa aspect. She said, I already own that property and I have a permit to build a children's home. I've just run out of, I've run out of funds because all my funding is going to the other programs. And so I realized right in there, I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to go home and I'm going to figure out a way to raise the funds and build this children's home. And lo and behold, doors start to open when you realize I need to do something and I don't know how I'm going to do it, but it's coming from your heart. And Gina alone was so supportive. Gina's dad. There's so many people in this audience that were very supportive. And we've built this beautiful 12,000 square foot home. There's 25 kids living there between the ages of 3 and 11 years old, and they are thriving. These kids all have come. Many of the children that arrived were so malnourished, and they are now just bubbles of love and pictures of health, and they are loving being educated. They're learning their ABCs, as you can tell. So it's really just, it's amazing to see the remarkable growth. We only employed Haitian workers. We had at one point over 150 Haitians working on the project. We have 8 Haitians working there, educating the kids, and it's so inexpensive to contribute to the foundation. As these ladies also said, it's $25 for a week to support one child, and the money goes a wonderfully long way. I've partnered with an organization called Random Acts. They're 100% non-profit, or they're 100% volunteer-based, so all the funds we raise go directly to the children's home, and to also pay for the Haitian teachers' salaries and the Haitian teachers and educators on hand and living there. And I also want to share that I have had the pleasure and honor of bringing over 350 people to Haiti. And there's actually 2 people in the audience, Victoria Craftsman and Hunter Craftsman. And Victoria, she's come with me 4 times. She's actually created her own foundation after the first trip. It's called Tents to Shanty. And she's built over 8 homes for another project we work with called the Art Creation Foundation for Children, that's taken 100 of the most impoverished kids in this one area that were not able to afford school, and these kids now are not only educated in school, they get to receive an arts education, as well as 3 meals a day, and those kids are thriving. And it's just really wonderful to bring people down to Haiti, because on the trips that we do, it's not about handouts, it's about working together hand in hand and uplifting each other. And as much as we go down there to help, we get so much more out of it. I'm sure all these women can attest to that, it's really extraordinary when you can go to a place and work hand in hand for people who in some ways seem like they have less than you, but in so many other ways, it seems like they have so much more than you, because everyone we've met and worked with in Haiti, and Victoria can attest to that, Hunter can as well, love, dedication, perseverance, passion, and it's really remarkable. And so I'm really honored to be on this board or this panel. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Time check. We're there. Okay. Well, this is going to be the case with all the talks. We have so much to share, so many extraordinary speakers. So I'm just going to sum this up and tell you that in Africa, in Cambodia, in Haiti, and all over the world, there's people that are of need. And like you've heard from each of these amazing presenters, you get more than you give most often. And so find that place in your heart that is inspiring you to do that which you know you can do, giving back. In a lot of ways, it's just the people that are right in front of you, your own kids, your own family. So let's stand up and give Muffy and Barbara and Lisa a round of applause for their amazing inspirational work.